churches risk undermining the integrity of the asylum system. Now, that's the warning from Home Office sources after it was revealed that Clapham chemical attacker Abdul Ezedi was allowed to remain in Britain despite lying and failing a Christianity test. Now, the Afghan national, who is a convicted sex offender, was twice denied asylum before being granted permission to stay in the United Kingdom after his claims he had converted to Christianity were backed by a priest. Immigration documents revealed yesterday showed the minister's evidence was critical in persuading a judge to grant asylum, despite warnings from the Home Office that he was a proven liar and using religion to his own ends. Despite claiming in a Home Office interview that he had read the Bible every day for 3 years, Ezedi couldn't answer basic questions about Christianity. His immigration lawyers later blamed the interpreter. Shortly after Ezedi's body was found in the River Thames after a 3-week manhunt, the Home Secretary reportedly summoned church leaders to a meeting where he is said to have warned them not to act against the integrity of our system. But with one priest claiming there is a conveyor belt of asylum seeker baptisms in the Church of England, are cleverly stern words enough to prompt meaningful action? This is a shocking story, and I think all the signs are there, and I think people at home will be wondering, what on earth are we doing? What is the system doing when the Home Office repeatedly says this man is a threat, should not be here? If you look back, and he was asked about how much he knew about Christianity, and they said, what's the best bit of the Old Testament, or what's it about? And he said, Jesus Christ. And right, OK, so that's wrong. He was asked what happened on the third day when God created the world. And I think what he said was Good Friday, Easter Sunday and Resurrection Day. Exactly. So, I mean, clearly he hasn't read anything, so he had no idea. And the question I have is, how on earth did that get overturned? And how was he allowed to remain in the country despite being a convicted sex offender?
Also, why is Christianity sort of being held up as the big thing to say, OK, if you've converted, then that gives you a bit of a fast track?
Because the argument is, I can't be sent back to where I've come from because I'll be persecuted for being a Christian. That's the argument. And the other thing is, so this Christian man was buried on March the 11th. At a mosque with a full Muslim burial.
I mean, you can't. I think he also claimed he'd seen Joseph the musical as well as part of his defence. I mean, it's so bonkers. This. I interviewed a Christian guy today. You know, a very well-intentioned man who helps persecuted Christians in Iran. So that was his specific take on it about sending people
But that's
back.
what I mean about that. If you're Christian when you're in your country and then you leave because of the fact that you're a Christian,
but that's not what's happening here. What's happening here is all of these people, and let's cut to the chase here. Nobody from the church. Look, it's a bit like left-wingers can't really have an opinion on immigration because they can't condemn a brown or a black person and go to sleep at night because it goes against everything they think they stand for. And similarly with this, the church just can't. They go, well, it's not all of them. Do you know what? I'm going to just take a rough guess. I think it's all of them. Every last one of these people that say, I want to convert to Christianity is telling a big fat lie.
But also it's not... I don't think it's the church's fault. The church, like you said, cannot sleep at night for turning somebody away. That's what they're there for. It's the Home Office's fault. If they...
No, it's not. The church gave evidence and said this man has converted to Christianity.
If the Home Office
But the Home Office were the ones that said, do not let him in, and it was overturned.
Do you know what this church did?
But not by the church. It wasn't overturned by the church.
But the system is wrong.
That's what I mean.
Here's the thing. The church has no integrity. Why did the church give evidence? This same church couldn't let this man sit in the church alone. They had to draw up a document that they sent to all the members of that congregation saying this man, basically notifying him about his sexual convictions.
He's a bit iffy.
He wasn't allowed to sit in the church by himself. So this same church that somehow didn't think this man was safe enough to be in the church by himself was somehow vouching for him to be allowed to remain in Britain, which goes. The church is at fault here because they're putting their own integrity at risk. Obviously, the question is, why didn't the Home Office remove this man once his first asylum claim was denied? That's very valid. But the church I mean, I'm so disgusted. This really, I mean, I'm probably the only one here that actually goes to church regularly. I'm so disgusted by this because the church has become a conveyor belt for these people that are acting in bad faith and rigging our system and spitting on the asylum system. And even worst of all, taking away the right of asylum to people who actually need it. All of these men coming off the boats are men, not women and children like I would like to see. I actually think no working age male should be granted asylum in this country. The priority should be given to women and children, women who face sex-based violence in regions riddled with conflict. These are the people we should be helping, not people like Abdul Ezedi, who I spit on because they're vile.
But you're right. And I think what it does is it also changes the narrative. And the public is sick and tired of immigration, or illegal immigration. And I can tell you that whilst the government, as you know, says, oh, we're going to stop the boats, they haven't stopped the boats. And so the number now, this year, is 4,644, which is up on this time last year. If you look back 2 years ago, it was 46,000 people made it to this country. So it is not working. And the government will be judged on this. And I think we touched on this right at the beginning. If you have mass immigration, 745,000 legal migrants into this country, you don't have infrastructure, you don't have schools, you don't have hospitals. And also, that's what people will vote on.
The thing about the boats is it is such a small amount in the great scheme of things.
And
actually, as we know now, I mean, the stories have been in the papers day after day about universities and about the amount of people that they get from overseas, who then, of course, stay on afterwards, and they're the ones, and they bring over their dependents, and then that's why, and also we have a lot of extra immigrants.